All right, let's do this.
My friends, we are back with another Tech Support Live. I am your host today. I'm Alec. And for all those who are new viewers of the stream, I am an interactive media specialist here at NETGEAR. So I do a lot of design for social media and for web. And I am joined by the dream team of tech supporters. First up, we have Michael Ellis.
Hey everyone, I'm Michael, technical marketing manager at NETGEAR, and I spend a lot of my time playing with the new products we have, do a lot of beta testing on them, and here to help with any questions you got. And over to Ben.
Man.
Ben's a frozen screen.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Ben's
you know
frozen.
what? You know what just happened? I know exactly what just happened because it popped up for me. His computer got restarted.
Oh, he hit the button.
I just got the same thing, but I was able to hit the one that says stop for 4 hours.
Sneeze. Okay, well, Ben will be
wrong
back.
button, Ben. So over to Darren.
Over to Darren. Hang on. Let's switch over to the three person view, and we'll just move these around real quick. Move the name tags around. Okay, Darren.
He'll be back.
You go ahead.
I'm Darren. I'm a technical support specialist at NETGEAR and also a community moderator, and I cover all of our home products and do support.
Cool. And I guess that's all of us for now. Ben will return, I hope. But until then, you got the three of us here.
Hopefully it's just a quick update for him.
Pretty good dream team. You know, we're down a man, but it's all good. So yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, if you're a new viewer, you know, the basis of the show is please feel free to ask any questions in the chat about products that you own, or, you know, if you'd like some suggestions for what we think might work best for your, you know, home networking situation or your business, you know, ask in the chat. We're happy to answer any questions you have. Like I said, we've got a lot of knowledge here on the stream. So, you know, without further ado, let's get started. Adrian says, Alec is working from Taco Bell. I wish I was working from Taco Bell. I've got a drawer right next to me that's filled with fire sauce packets.
Oh, good choice.
I'm quite the Taco Bell aficionado.
Enthusiast.
But we've got a task at hand. We got to answer the question. So without further ado, let's see. The first question here comes from Ryan Fries. And Ryan asks, sometimes I have trouble trying to figure out what device is loaded on my router. Is there a simple way to discover what the device is? So when you say loaded on your router, I think maybe you mean like a certain device is using a lot of bandwidth.
Is connected to the router.
Oh, connected?
Actually, a certain device is connected to a router and trying to figure out what that device is. And Adrian actually gave a good recommendation to Ryan that in the device list, it'll usually tell you the MAC address of the device. So you can actually go and look at the device, and usually the MAC address is printed on the device somewhere. And that's one easy way to find out which device matches up with what you're actually seeing in the device list in the router.
Gotcha. And on stuff like phones, you can see the MAC address in the like info settings, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. We've got Ben back. Ben,
I'm back. Hey, guess what happened?
The same thing that happened on all of our computers, but we didn't hit that button.
Yeah, I just was like, get out of here, and then I was like,
oh,
that's
it was
bad.
funny. It happened right when we're gonna introduce you.
Yep.
I know. As always, you know, first time computer user. My name is Ben. I'm the brand experience manager. Okay,
you just experienced a brand.
I just experienced. I honestly, I have to say, I think IT is out to get us.
Like, oh, they are right at noon.
Right at noon, yep. And they pop it up, and I just wanted to dismiss it, so you know, and hopefully that would snooze it. Once again, no, that was not the behavior of that pop up. So I was like, God dang it. So
it happens.
Yeah,
it happens.
It happens.
All good.
Okay,
well,
where are we? Thanks, Vanessa.
Yep. Still on Adrian's question.
Yeah. She was like, welcome
I
back.
mean, Ryan's question.
Oh, okay. Welcome back. Okay, cool. Yeah, so, okay, we'll go on. So we answered Ryan's question. And now we are on to Kev. Did I miss any? Are we on Kev now?
I believe so.
If
I'm
I
looking
missed your
down here to see
question,
if we missed something.
just type a all caps message. You missed my question. But next question from Kev. Kev asks, "Hi guys, I have the MK63, and he gave the firmware number. All is
Nice.
working well, but without armor. When I update to the latest firmware, which has been out for a while, I get many disconnects. This has been reported um, many times. Just wondering if there is a newer firmware coming soon to try." So Kev, we are not the product. None of us are the product manager for the you know the Nighthawk mesh line. Um, that being said, I'm curious to hear from the three of you. Is anybody aware of a firmware update coming?
I don't know about any firmware updates coming, and I don't know if there was a particular problem with the latest firmware. Darren, have you heard anything about any issues with the latest firmware?
I have not. I don't particularly cover that product, but I can go kind of investigate what's going on there.
Yeah, I think we might need to do some investigation on that, Kevin, or Kev rather. Um, worst comes to worst, we can ask the product manager for that product, when the next firmware update is going to come out, so we can get you a better answer. But
Yep.
tentatively, yeah, I'm not aware of a long-standing issue with the MK63. So we'll have to see. So we'll get back to you. Sorry,
Yep.
we couldn't give you an answer right away.
And in the meantime, if you have no other options right now, you could always flash it back to a previous firmware, the last one that was out, and that way, at least, if on that firmware you're not having any problems, that can get you up and running, and you don't have to worry about the disconnects until we figure out what's going on.
Yeah, it's always helpful to always have like if you have a solid firmware that you're working on, to be able to have that as a rollback, just in case. I'm always cautious with new firmware because there's always there's a possibility of a couple of things that got missed,
Hmm.
and so I always have like the previous one as a backup. It's kind of a good um, I don't know, sort of operating procedure.
Yeah,
Right.
best
And on our
practice.
support site, we usually list
practice.
off like the last 3 or 4 firmwares for a piece of hardware. So you can go out to the NETGEAR support site and go down to the software section of the MK63, and that should list off multiple firmwares. And you could go back one firmware, manually do the upgrade, and see if that corrects your problem, at least temporarily.
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll get that answer for you on the firmware, but worst comes to worst, maybe just go back one update, because like they all said, sometimes there's little bugs,
Yeah,
as is
and there's
life.
so many moving parts in software on our on any platform that you can go and fix 2 or 3 things, but one of your fixes may have actually affected something else that
Broken
you
something
weren't
else.
paying attention to, and
Yeah,
that
yeah,
happens
yeah.
all the time.
Totally. I don't personally code, but I like, sometimes I'll see those memes where it's like you fix one bug and there's 10 more.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
that's life.
It was well, that's programming, and especially ongoing living software. You always have issues that come out with when you're trying to fix something. I always thought of like bug fixing as like trying to stick your finger in the hole that's leaking water, and then there's like, oh, there's another one, and then you have to, oh,
Yep.
there's another one.
Like an
You
old
know,
cartoon.
yeah.
Totally. Okay. Well, it looks like we got a couple more questions. We did have a comment from Paolo, but it looks like Christine, who is in the control center today, was able to help him out. So, Paolo, hopefully you're able to get your answer. But we've got a couple questions from Ryan about NPG. But firstly, he wants to know, Ben,
Mhm.
do you like the new Halloween mode on Warzone?
So honestly, I haven't played it yet. I'm looking to play this weekend. This week I was like way too busy to actually do any sort of gaming. I did play the Call of Duty Cold War beta I'm they only had like 1 or 2 modes, and I wasn't as 100% impressed. Still, I did pre-order it, so
I didn't like it.
yeah. Yeah, have you seen the meme where it's like, hey, we have a new Call of Duty, we just changed it's the same as the old Call of Duty, but we just changed what time it's in.
I feel like that's
Oh
always like
wow.
a FIFA meme too,
Yeah.
or like sports games.
What I didn't like about it, and Darren, you could maybe give your opinion as well. What I didn't like about it is that I had this like crappy sort of AKM, and when I was shooting it, it was all over the place, and I couldn't get any accuracy out of it. And then I would get killed by somebody no scoping with it from like 80 yards, and I was like, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
Sheer luck.
And then I'd get into the tank, and then one rocket would take out the entire tank. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll just avoid that tank. And then it just, that snow level, it felt like more like they had taken the game mechanics from like Battlefront, from Star Wars Battlefront, where you're trying to like take over like momentum and taking over this objective. And it took forever to do a round, and I just felt like I was getting just grinded down through that. So
Yeah, I felt like it's a step back from Modern Warfare. Like it just doesn't feel as good.
yeah, Modern Warfare has such a good feel for it. Yeah, I didn't like the controls, and maybe it's the difference of the two studios. I don't know. I don't know if they have common code on at least on the basic mechanics. So there I am waxing philosophically on Call of Duty.
Well,
Ryan,
we've got more gaming questions coming in from
fantastic.
Ryan. The first one is, will I have to do anything special to my XR500 router for the new consoles?
No.
Not necessarily, but I do believe there is confirmation that both consoles will have Ethernet. So I highly suggest that you connect via Ethernet if possible.
I would suggest wiring it up, and I would also suggest, especially with the Xbox side. I don't know so much on the PlayStation, but IPv6, especially with the new Series S and Series X.
And then we got a comment also from Ryan that is actually really surprising to me. It sounds like Atari is coming out with a new system.
Yeah.
They're still
Didn't
in
know
business.
that. That's what
Yeah,
I
it's well,
thought.
I think somebody bought the Atari name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
And
Well, it
still a
will
good name.
work with the XR. I mean, anything that connects to the internet is going to work with the XR500. I'm not sure if it has an Ethernet port. It looks like it may not have an Ethernet port. Oh no, it does. It does. So yeah,
It does.
if you do want to get the new Atari, which is really cool to say, get the new Atari. I would highly recommend, like with the Xbox or PS5, hardwiring it if possible.
And it looks like it launches in just a few days.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
and
what the heck? This is cool.
yeah, they sort of crashed the party. It's a PC console hybrid.
Interesting. I hope it doesn't end up like the you remember the Ouya? Was that what it was called?
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't do that.
It uses the classic joystick and a modern controller.
Ooh.
And then they also did the buttons very nicely, like the classic controller. So red buttons. Cool. Yeah, and you can play any Atari game from the Atari Vault, which honestly, I think it'd be fun for a weekend.
Yeah.
And I then my daughter will probably go, Dad, this game sucks.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but you're moving the tank. What tank? That square over there.
The line on it.
Yeah, with the line on it. Yeah, I don't know. There's a bit of nostalgia for it, but I don't. Yeah, I don't know. That's probably the unpopular opinion. And how much are they charging for it?
Well,
Like
they've got
300?
a limited time deal. It is regular $399.99, but if you pre-order it, you can get it for $389.99.
Ooh, $10
hell of a
off.
deal.
Whoa.
So you can DoorDash some fries from McDonald's.
Same price as a Series S.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna have to hard
Is that a
pass on that
pass?
one.
Okay.
pass.
Well, we have some not
Adrian
Dan
has a good
questions now.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we sell any consumer grade switches that have 10G ports? 8
The
or
answer is
16?
yes and no. Yes, we do have the SX10, which has two 10 gig ports on it, and
Yep.
it looks just like that right there, that nice little Cylon thing. But if you're actually looking for an 8 or 16 port switch that has all the ports 10 gig, then no, you're going to have to go to a business level switch for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it only has 2. It does have link aggregation. That's a multi-port, so it can go up to 10. So you can do 1, 2, 5, 10, I think.
Yep.
But yeah, you're going to have to go up to more the beefier business side. It's because that speed just really hasn't connected quite enough over on the consumer side. Not a lot of people are really kind of needing those sort of speeds, or they just don't know that they need that sort of speed. I would probably imagine. I mean, everybody would benefit from that faster speed. I use the SX10 for hooking up my streaming PC, my Xbox now, and all the other things that I have. But yeah, I would say if you really want to get that like across the board 10G ports, then you're going to have to do something on the business side. Is there something that we could suggest?
I was looking at them, and even on the business side, most of the ones within a reasonable price range only have a couple of 10 gig ports on them.
Yeah.
And those are usually mainly for upstream and downstream when you're stacking your switches. To get up to one that actually has 10 gig on all the ports, you're probably going to be looking at something that is in the range of $700 or more.
Yeah, because I heard it's between $70 and $100 on those each port at 10 gig.
Yep.
Just because those things are they're expensive to make.
They're no joke. We've seen them in the office, and they're beefy. They are not little switches.
So looking at 1 or 2, like the SX10, you're looking at like maybe $200, $300. But there's other ports, so about $300. But yeah, you're probably gonna price out in that sort of range.
Yep.
Okay. Well, next question is from Dan Tuma, who is a regular viewer of ours, and mentioned earlier in the chat that because of the show, he actually got a CM1200. So Dan, thank you for taking our suggestion and trusting your hard-earned money with our suggestions. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we hope it's working well for you. It sounds like he mentioned he has no buffering with Wi-Fi 6 and the CM1200, which is awesome to hear.
That's great.
But yeah, the question is actually something I'd also like to know is how do you know when there's an update for the CM1200, or I guess really just a modem in general?
That's going to come from your ISP.
Yep. And they're not going to tell you when they're actually pushing out new updates. It's just going to happen in the background.
Right. It'll happen in the background. They'll push it out, and suddenly you'll lose the internet for a good 10 minutes. And you're like, what the hell? And then you're like, oh, they upgraded my modem.
Yep.
Well, I didn't know that. Very interesting. Cool stuff.
Yeah.
Well, there's the answer to the question. Cool.
Yeah, it's if you really want to boggle your own mind, take a look at what your ISP's firmware is, what the firmware is for the modem that we that we have that they haven't tested out, and look at like another ISP as to what firmware they're using. There's no consistency.
Right. Mainly the reason why is that when they certify a particular modem, they also certify a particular firmware along with that modem. And that's one that they've tested against their system. That means it's going to work with their system without problems because they want to minimize any issues that they'll have. And so there's very little impetus for them to upgrade that firmware on a regular basis because if it's working, don't try to fix it. It saves them money, but it does mean that you usually end up with firmware that's 1, 2, even 3 back, just because they see no reason to spend the engineering effort to actually test out another firmware on it.
Yeah, you have, in extreme cases, you may find that your firmware is over a year and a half old.
Yep.
It's
I didn't know that whatsoever. That's interesting.
That's just the nature of the beast.
Yep.
Okay. Well, hopefully, I mean, that should answer your question. So cool. Moving on, we have a comment from Othman07 who mentioned an issue with getting double charged on the XR1000. Othman, I would first ask, did this occur on the NETGEAR store, or did this occur on something like Amazon? And then secondly, that would probably be something that we could have Christine look into in the background.
If it's on the NETGEAR store.
Yeah, if it's on the NETGEAR store. If it's with Amazon or Best Buy, you're not actually buying from us. You're buying from Best Buy or Amazon. The only way that you're directly buying from us is from NETGEAR.com.
Right, which means you need to actually contact them for the accounting issues.
Yes. So
but that
let
sucks.
us know.
And so if it's with us, we'll try to figure out some way that we could get that straightened out for you.
Yeah, we can definitely get that figured out. So thanks for letting us know. Okay, this is a question that's just really gonna open a can of worms here, especially for Ben. Did anyone get a PS5 or Series X pre-order in? And if so, which games are you excited to try?
Okay, so
this is gonna be the rest of the show.
Oh God, hold on, let me get my soapbox out. So I did try to get on the Series X pre-order, and I waited and I waited, and then it was like, you're like, started at 8, and they were sold out. I was like, I was like, what? I was like, oh man, it was like trying to get Burning Man tickets. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And so with that, I thought, well, maybe I should check out what this PlayStation is, because I haven't been on PlayStation for a couple generations. But I've decided I'm just going to hold off until it's out in the wild, and I will try to get
Just go to Target, pick it up
online
once.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna try to do that. But I'm gonna get the Series X. And am I excited about any new games to try? I was excited about Cyberpunk, but that's been delayed. I was excited about Cold War because I love Call of Duty Zombies. I love the changes that they say that they're going to do for Call of Duty Zombies. I did now I feel committed to buying the Series X because of the $10 upcharge I have on my Call of Duty pre-order, where if I have it on my Xbox X and then I get the Series X, I can get it for the Series X at no extra charge. I know that sounds sort of backwards in that $10 now it just committed me to a $500 machine, but I feel that I'll switch over. I like the backwards compatibility. PS5's got Spider-Man though, and man, that game is so good. And so I'm a little torn. This might be the first time that I will do both at some point.
Oh, he's playing for both sides here. He's doing both.
I'm playing on both sides right now. I'm hedging my bets.
And he's got a new PC, so he's really.
I did
got the
get a new
trifecta.
I'm all in. And in the pre-roll, I was talking about the Oculus Quest 2. Yep. So my commitment level to gaming is probably at an all-time high.
And you got the XR1000, so he's really not playing around.
I did. So I'll probably here's how it's probably going to break down. I will probably get the Series X when it comes out in November. I will probably get the Quest for a Christmas present, sort of family Christmas present. And I will probably get the PS5 sometime next year. That's probably where it's going to flop out.
And then have absolutely no time to play any of them.
Oh, yeah. They'll all just collect dust. They'll all collect dust.
Yep.
but if once I get the Series X, my daughter's going to get a massive upgrade. Her Xbox will suddenly become the Xbox X.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah, so she'll be able to Minecraft in 4K.
Those will be sharp blocks.
I mean,
sharp looking blocks.
Minecraft really, if you can only have one game, it's got to be Minecraft.
It's got to be Minecraft. And I forgot to mention, we beat the dragon.
Yes, very good.
So we're at the end. Like so I'm super stoked about that.
You gotta get the wings now. Get the Elytra.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on.
That's hard. That took me like 3 hours.
you need to have a ton of blocks, and you have to get to that like extra village or whatever.
And you gotta be ready to just fall.
Yeah.
In my
to your
app.
death.
And don't ever try Minecraft VR. I tried it. It's very cool doing it in VR, except I don't get motion sickness, and I still got motion sickness with that game.
Wow. I'm there's some things about the Quest 2 I was looking at. I would love to see like a good boxing game in VR.
That'd be cool.
Just amazing.
That'd be cool.
Even if somebody decided to port EA Fight Night over there.
Right. Yep.
That would be phenomenal. But like Beat Saber looks really cool.
Beat Saber's cool. I like that.
There's like a Avengers game that looks kind of cool.
I really like Super Hot. I think that's what it's called.
Oh yeah.
Super hot.
So much fun. I remember one time I like completely neglected the barriers and just dashed into a wall, like a real wall.
Yep.
Among Us. I think I'm gonna hit that this weekend.
I bought it a couple weekends ago. Incredible. Really, just really fun. Okay,
good game.
but
all right.
Don't worry about where are we. We're at.
I got you.
Let's see.
So we are just answered Adrian's question, and then we got some comments from Vanessa saying that she broke 2 paddles for the Atari.
Old Atari.
On, which game? Mega Mania?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
Mega Mania. Well, that's some dedication.
Wow. That is.
Okay, we got a question here from Armin, who says, will I check for a firmware update for the RBR50 in the Orbi app? When I check for a firmware update for the RBR50 in the Orbi app, it would fail. I've uninstalled the app and reinstalled it, and it still has this problem. So if you're failing to check for an update in the app, what I would suggest doing is actually try doing it through your computer. So you should be able, on the Orbi, I believe, just like any other NETGEAR router, correct me if I'm wrong, you should be able to go to routerlogin.net and use the computer portal to check for an update. So I would suggest that. The app should work, so that is a problem, whether it's on your end or our end, that is a problem. But if you're able to go around it, it might fix itself after you update via the desktop. So give that a shot.
One thing that I would add, though, is on Orbi, it actually isn't routerlogin.net, it's orbilogin.net.
Orbilogin.net. Interesting.
Yep.
That's kind of snazzy.
Yep.
Well,
otherwise, it's the same thing.
It's Orbi.
Yep.
Okay. We have Hamad back. Welcome back, Hamad, one of our regular viewers. Welcome back. And question from CCDB, who asks, how can I jam out an intrusive network? Should I switch my home to wired Ethernet or Faraday cage my router?
You don't want to Faraday cage your router because then you won't be able to talk to it wirelessly.
Yes.
But if you want to switch to all wired, yeah, that guarantees you don't have to worry about any other Wi-Fi interference. But that's going a little extreme. You can also cover your house in aluminum foil. And that way, at least inside your house, you're fine. But all of those are going to make the people in your neighborhood think you're just a little bit off.
You're going to be, I don't know if anybody's seen Better Call Saul, but you'll be like the guy in Better Call Saul.
Yep.
I forgot his name, but yeah. I don't think it should be too big of a concern, Wi-Fi interference. It can be a problem if you live in like a huge high rise and there's like a million networks, but even then you should be fine. The only time I've ever had issues with Wi-Fi interference is, ironically enough, in the Netgear office.
Right. Well, let's just say
Well,
go and look, and there's more than 150
yeah.
It's all
access points and
Michael's
routers.
fault.
It is all my fault.
He's in his lab
I
with his 50 routers.
Hey, but I'm getting a good tan while I'm in there.
yeah, exactly. I think thanks to COVID, we'll all live longer. Because we could be.
That was absolutely
It is.
atrocious.
Yeah, it's bad because there's so many different SSIDs. I never have ever seen that. Like,
It's really overwhelming.
yeah, you try to hook up and it just scrolls forever.
Yep. Yep. Also, on the on trying to stop other Wi-Fi signals, they do actually have a Wi-Fi reflective paint that you can put on your walls, and it basically will help cut down signals that actually try to
That
go
is
in or out
very
of the
interesting.
walls. Now, I've never read any articles where it does 100%, but it definitely creates more of a barrier there.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
Does it do anything for keeping the signal inside the house?
That would be basically trying to block anything from going out.
Okay.
Yeah. But of
interesting.
course, if you're painting your walls, you also have to paint your ceiling with this, because your ceiling then would be a nice open hole for your signal to go out.
Or you can paint
Right.
the outside of your house.
You'd have to
and
paint
get
Or you can
some-
paint the outside of your house and the tiles on top of your house. So I say the aluminum foil is the easiest way to go. You
Yeah.
go to Costco, you buy 100 rolls
A
of the
pallet.
40-inch wide aluminum foil, and then just start wrapping the entire thing.
Or you put your
The
router
entire-
in your microwave,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
nobody will get any Wi-Fi.
Including you.
God.
Any microwave. You could just get a dedicated. It could just be a dedicated Wi-Fi
True.
cage.
But
Yeah.
if you want to do that, why don't you just turn the Wi-Fi off on the router, and then you don't have to do anything else about it?
Exactly. There you go.
I know that was too easy and not as much
So,
fun.
Mad Biker has asked a couple times. Yeah, we're still trying to get Duma 3.0 on all of the Nighthawk Pro Gaming.
I think he wants all routers, Ben, not just the pro
not
gaming
just
ones.
the pro gaming, on all routers. But it will be, we're trying hard to get it before Christmas. So.
Yep. But definitely not all routers, because that's what makes our pro gaming routers partially pro gaming, is that particular software.
Okay.
But like I said, we're working hard on the 700. Right now, I don't have a firm date for that firmware. Somehow that went wrong. But okay, moving on.
We have a question. This is kind of a fundamental question. So I think it'd be good for some of our audience members who maybe aren't super familiar with home networking and just networking in general. What is Ethernet actually used for? Great question. I think I could answer it, but I would default to one of the experts on the call just to make sure you get a great answer.
What is Ethernet actually used for? Other than the fact that you use it with all of your networking in the wiring, and it's basically the same thing as like phone line wiring. It's something that you use to transmit signals from point A to point B across an actual physical wire.
Mm-hmm.
Ethernet can be used for many, many things outside of even just computer applications. But basically, it's just a series of wires there. I think there's 8 wires across that they can send signals up and down the wires.
Yeah.
And I think what's great, I mean, assuming you're asking this question in kind of a home context, most of our viewers here are asking, about Wi-Fi in their home. I think the greatest thing to use Ethernet for is to get devices off of your Wi-Fi and get it onto wired. A lot of devices pull a lot of information in from your wireless network, laptops, consoles, that kind of thing. And it's really great to be able to get those off of your wireless network and free up more bandwidth for your other devices. Or if, post pandemic, you have friends over, they'll have fast Wi-Fi, stuff like that.
I'm going to be an advocate of your streaming TV, plug it in, wire it in.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Get it off of your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and if you're on wired Ethernet as opposed to wireless, then you've completely removed the possibility of random interference.
Yep.
Because random interference can happen like on the 2.4 gigahertz. If a microwave oven is between you and your router and someone turns it on, chances are you're going to get wireless interference from it because it's putting out basically noise at that point. And by being wired, you've completely removed the chance of any wireless interference.
Yeah, which I think, we all talk about how important, good internet is for gaming. I know we've been talking about gaming a lot this particular episode, and there seems like there's a lot of gamers in the chat. It's, it's not essential, but I really think you should wire all your gaming devices because then you're not going to get those random dropouts that are just sometimes unavoidable. So that being said.
And I did
Yeah,
see
I'm
an
going to
additional
say,
question down there where was specifically actually asking, what's the difference of that from the internet? And yeah, those are definitely apples and oranges. Ethernet is just cabling. It's hardwired cabling. The internet is sort of a giant knowledge base and software base that is around the world. It's broken up into all the different areas, all the different locations that have it. For instance, if you go out to Sony's site, that's one location on the internet. If you go out to Intel, it's another location. So it's a distributed network that at this point covers the entire world. And it is connected by Ethernet cables, by wireless point-to-point connections, by fiber optic, basically any way you can get a signal from one place to another. That's what actually connects the entire internet together. But the internet itself is more of a concept as opposed to an actual physical object. Ethernet cables are physical objects. The internet is a giant collection of information or data that is distributed around the world.
Yep.
Facts, big facts. That's all.
Big facts.
Big
Yeah,
facts.
Adrian has an interesting comment. Yeah, I do. They do use 100 fast Ethernet, and you will get more bandwidth over Wi-Fi if you just have it going through Wi-Fi. I just like it's such a bandwidth vampire that I just want to just take it off of the Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
it's like like my Roku TV is like a big semi truck, and I just want to get it off of the road.
And something to note that I think is really like key to think about is, and I think this applies to almost every device, is sometimes we overestimate what they need. So like, for example, 100 megabytes per second, that's going to give you perfectly smooth 4K at 60 frames per second. 60 frames per second 4K is about 80. And so if you're hardwired for 100, that's completely fine. Yes, you could be getting 250, 300, 500 wirelessly, but there's no point. If the whole purpose of that device is to stream 4K, you're better off getting the lower speed and taking it off your bandwidth. So something to know.
And also video is one of those types of applications where if you have any packet loss, basically packets don't make it to the receiver, you'll notice it more on video than you will on, say, audio. If you have an audio call and a couple of packets drop, you're not even going to notice. But on video, if you get some packet drops, you'll start noticing usually digital blocks on the screen or a little bit of noise. So it's a lot more apparent when you're dealing with video as opposed to a lot of other things. Plus with video, it doesn't do error checking whether or not a packet actually got to you. When it's sending that video down to you, it's sending the stream and it's just expecting you're going to get it. And if you don't get some of the packets, it doesn't then resend those packets. So if you have it hardwired, you don't have to worry about random packet loss due to Wi-Fi interference at one point or another. And taking it off of the Wi-Fi just opens up that much space for your other devices.
Yeah, because a stream, like a video stream, it's a constant, ongoing bog on your bandwidth. So, key to note. We did skip Dan's question here. Dan, our favorite CM1200 owner, asks if he should enable Ethernet port aggregation on his CM 1200? And what are the benefits?
Ethernet aggregation, the benefits are that things that are trying to talk out on it would be able to use both connections, and it's basically a round robin. The first device that asks to talk out gets sent down one lane. The next one that asks goes down the other lane, and then back to the first lane. It just goes back and forth. So you have less of a chance of having a bottleneck. But most people, their houses aren't wired to have multiple internet connections coming in. So the link aggregation there isn't going to matter. And on the LAN side, doing link aggregation, the only way that that's really going to help is if you also have a switch that allows for aggregation, because you need at least 2 ports on the other side that it can aggregate those ports together. And once again, it's still going to do a round robin thing. It's not actually taking like 2 lanes on a highway, erasing the middle line in between and making it now a double wide lane. It just means you end up with 2 lanes that you can use whenever you want to go over that bridge, as opposed to 1.
Perfect.
Yep.
Well, more big facts. Cool. So hopefully that answers your question. I think in most home situations, probably not going to need to.
Yep.
But if you're a power user and you have found an application for it in your house where you can do, benefit from what Michael mentioned, go for it. It'd be fun to tinker with. Okay. Question from Hamad, who says, "What about using fiber cables in a home network?" You can get it from your internet service provider, but as far as like, a fiber switch, not quite there yet. Not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Sounds cool though, a fiber switch. That would be awesome.
Well, actually, we do have switches with fiber ports on them.
Yeah, but aren't they usually like two? It's like 2 ports.
Usually, yes. But just running standard fiber around your house, you always have to think about the fact of what is it actually going to connect to? And you could have switches on your house with fiber ports, and then the terminator on the end of your fiber cable is usually this rectangular block that then plugs into that switch. So that would be a way to get data quickly, from point A to point B in your house. But it's not really something that your end devices would be connected into. Your PS5s, Xboxes, things like that, they don't have a fiber port, so there's no reason to have fiber going to it. And there's not a big reason to have fiber when copper actually is getting in the 10 gig range. And you can actually get higher if you do link aggregation, or at least those 2 lanes. So copper easily fits the needs of a house at this time or any time in the foreseeable future. And one big benefit over copper over fiber is fiber doesn't bend well. If you're going to be bending a piece of fiber, it has to have a big arc. You're not going to be making anything close to a 90-degree turn. While with copper, you can make those bends a lot easier than with fiber, and it has less of a chance of breaking as well. Fiber is easier to break, and once you've got that break there, it's really hard to fix that. You don't patch it the same way you do with a Ethernet cable. You actually have to have special cutters that cut it down, smooth it off so it's got a mirrored surface, and then it puts a coupler in between. So there's too many technical points of it that make fiber inside the home not make a lot of sense.
Interesting. Yeah, I've seen those fiber like blocks that you mentioned, and they're just they're big. They're no joke. And like even if you were to try to make it work, like do we have any access points that can run off of a fiber connection?
I don't think there's any fiber access points.
Yeah.
You'd be going most likely to another switch that has a fiber port, and usually on ours they're the SFP ports. So they look kind of like an Ethernet port, but they're bigger, and there's a metal square or rectangular cylinder on the end of your fiber cable that plugs directly into that. It's also a lot more expensive than running copper as well.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, interesting to note. Go copper. The OG, still the best. Okay, cool. Let me see. I lost my spot here. Okay, I found it. Question from Alpha Robbins. Alpha asks, I'm unable to log on to Netgear Armor through the Nighthawk app. It states that the router is registered to my girlfriend's email, but when I use her email on the app, it says it's registered to my email.
Okay.
That is really unfortunate.
It looks like we're going to try to open up a
Yeah.
case on that.
Oh,
try to
good.
I
fix
don't have
that
an
out.
answer. That's really
Yeah.
just weird.
But yeah, use the hashtag stay connected in the subject line so we can identify
Yep.
it.
We give everybody watching the stream a little special treatment.
Yeah, that's not normal behavior. So
Okay. Let's see here. Vanessa says fiber is getting put in around where she lives. Well, maybe I can use it. That sounds kind of cool.
yeah,
I don't have fiber personally. Well,
I don't think I have
I have
fiber.
AT&T fiber, but I'm on Xfinity. They came to my door and tried to get me to switch to AT&T. Door to door,
They came to your door.
my door.
Wow.
Door. I feel like now is not the time for door to door sales.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, well, oh, we actually do have another question that I missed from Hamad. Well, are there any aggregation model switches that we know? We have a lot of switches that can do aggregation. I guess maybe we could suggest one that would be good for home use. I don't know.
Well, there's a couple of things. If you're just looking for one that has 2 ports on it for link aggregation, then the SX10, the pro gaming switch, will work just fine. It allows for link aggregation.
Yep.
Otherwise, you want to look for the Netgear smart switches, and pretty much almost every one of those allows link aggregation.
Cool. Yeah, I believe those smart switches, because they are inside managed.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe those are a little pricier typically.
They range, $150 and up, depending on how many ports and how smart you want it to be.
Gotcha.
If it's using Insight, it's probably going to be a little more expensive because that's the remote management software. But you just need to manage one of our managed switches, and then it should have port aggregation in there. I double check the specs before you buy it, but pretty much almost all of our smart switches allow you to do that.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I was only asking about price because, if you don't need Insight, you can just go with the SX10. But yeah, it sounds like you have some options to weigh, Hamad. So hopefully that helps out. Hamad asks, what about FTTP? I don't know what FTTP is. What is that?
What about FTTP?
HTTP?
Oh, this is file transfer protocol.
Yeah, that's a file transfer.
Yeah, and as far as the switch is concerned, if we're talking about switches, it has nothing to do with switches. There's no reason for you to have to worry about FTTP in the switch, because the switch is just acting as a pass-through. Whatever device that's sending and receiving has to support FTTP. And most people don't even use that anymore. They're just using HTTP to send stuff across. But if you want to use that, there are programs specifically that are designed. They used to use them with bulletin boards, for instance, for downloading programs. They'd use that protocol. But these days, people don't even talk about it anymore. And with a switch, it doesn't matter because you're not going to be controlling FTTP traffic in your switch normally.
Interesting. I didn't know what that FTTP was. I haven't
even heard the name for probably about 8 years. So,
well, they have a different definition, it looks like.
Oh, what is?
Fiber to the premises.
Oh, that's a new definition for something. Obviously from the ISPs.
Yeah.
And that's probably a name they came up with, basically to have fiber going down to the edge of your house, which is how they're pushing out a lot of fiber right now. In the new housing areas. In the current ones, when they're running fiber through, usually it's fiber to the street, fiber at the street, and then they're running copper from that to your house. It just depends. But that does sound like something the ISPs came up with for running fiber all the way to your residence.
Interesting. FTTP, not FTP.
Not
LOL.
FTP, yes.
Yeah, no.
Okay. I think we're all caught up. I think we
Yeah,
made
I
it.
think so.
It only took us 52 minutes, but we did catch up.
Not too bad.
Unfortunately, Angelo is completely gone today. He is out and about enjoying a day off. Um, so we don't have any filler questions. So we got to come up with our own. Trying to think. What could we talk about? We already talked about gaming so much.
Yeah, we
Um,
did. Wasn't there like an announcement this week with like, I don't know, like Apple?
yes, there is the new iPhone that was announced, and I am, you know, I
Are you getting it?
Tim Cook owns my soul. I will buy anything. I'll buy anything
It's,
he makes. So
so
I
so
pre-ordered it
let me ask this question as a follow-up. How recently have you switched to a Mac?
within the year. Within the
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Um, I,
So the honeymoon is still not over yet.
the honeymoon is still not
So,
over yet. Yeah. I got a Mac for work. First Mac I've ever gotten. And yeah, I mean, I like it a lot. I, I I
I
really just like it's the little features. I feel like there's so many shortcomings of it in big picture, but the little features like iMessage.
there okay, so there's a lot of little comforts. Like
Mhm.
I go to my PC and I'm like, where the heck is this? And I have no idea. And I was like, why are you making it so hard, PC? And then it's like blink, it looks like you're trying to do this. Like, go away. Like, and there's a bunch of nanny stuff on Windows, I feel. Um the but I just the ease of use. I'm just I love Apple's just like, let's just make it easy for everybody. Um, is it the most powerful machine? No, not really. Does it make Photoshop better? I don't know. It makes me feel cooler. Photoshop.
Yeah.
Apple's the problem. You make everything too easy. No one wants to troubleshoot anything anymore.
Yes.
It,
They just
it,
expect it
it,
to work. And when
Yeah,
it
they
doesn't,
just
too
expect it
bad.
to work.
Yeah, I'll definitely, because now I used to be very good at troubleshooting my PC when I was building, machines and all that. And now, I switch back over to my PC and I'm like, lost.
Yeah.
I'm like helpless.
Yeah,
So,
I feel like
we
if
got a question here from Joe Peoples.
oh, Joe Peoples. He asks, currently has the R7000 for about 5 years now. Well, I'm glad it's still kicking. Glad it's still working for you. Purchasing the Series X and the PS5 and thinking of upgrading routers, thinking about mesh, but not sure if that will interrupt signals. So, what I would suggest, and Ben, feel free to jump in here. Um, I think mesh is great for covering your whole home. I would still advise that you hardwire to your router
Yeah.
with your gaming devices if possible.
If possible. And, as far as like mesh systems, um, the XR 1000 does play nice with Nighthawk mesh. Um, I I would say it depends on how much you're concerned about gaming. If you're like super concerned about gaming, then of course get the XR 1000. It's like, I mean, it's such a dream machine. I love it. Um, but but if not, if you're more concerned about like making sure that you got coverage through the entire house with um, like a mesh system, then I would go ahead with that. Um,
Totally.
the great thing about us is you have so many different options, um, and there's many ways of getting coverage throughout your house.
Totally. Yeah. Netgear really covers all the price points, which is awesome. I mean, we've got a kit that's like $1,000 for
Yeah,
Orbi, very expensive. We know it's expensive. It's a lot of
but
money.
it
We also have
gets the job done.
it
It
does get
gets
the job done
coverage everywhere.
better than any other system out there. But we also have, like the REX. I'm trying to remember which ones have been released. we have some very cheap Wi-Fi 6 routers, the cheapest in the industry. So we're really covering, and we're filling in the gap in between the premium and the affordable. So really, there's tons of options for you to choose from. What I would say, and I always say this pretty much every time I'm on here, we're in
Yeah, we also
2020.
have,
Get Wi-Fi 6. It's
yeah,
time to get Wi-Fi 6.
And I think the lowest end one that we have is the RAX 15.
That's what I was gonna say. I lose track of which ones have and have not been released and which ones I should and should not be talking about.
Right.
yeah.
But yes,
The,
RX
uh,
15, very cheap.
Real quick, Call of Duty, what's their recommended speed? You could get a good gaming experience playing on 20. The thing is how congested is your local network? That is going to probably play more crucially than whatever your speed is, because gaming traffic is very, very small, but it doesn't, it's fragile, and so if it gets interrupted, then you're facing problems. That's why you get lag spikes and stuff like that. But if your local network is sorted, you could still have a good experience. You could probably play on LTE if you had to, just as long as your local network was sorted.
Yep. And speaking of local network, if you really want to, get that really good, clean, consistent connection, you should hardwire your gaming device.
Hardware,
Yes.
absolutely.
We're always saying that. We're broken records sometimes, but it's because it's true.
Yeah.
We're speaking
So
facts.
we're down to the last minute or so.
Don't forget the likes.
I would love to see, as always, here we are. Can we get likes up to 20? That's just 5 of you just need to just hit that like button. It really helps. It really does. As long as people are showing interest in the show, we're going to continue doing the show. How do we show interest? We need to get those likes up. Let's see, big improvement over the XR 500. Yes, to Wi-Fi 6. Interested. 3 Xboxes at once. How I would do
Wi-Fi 6
that
for
is
that.
you would, Wi-Fi 6. I would try to wire up as many as possible. You might want to utilize a switch somewhere in there so you can get all of them hardwired. But it is possible. Thank you, 21. That's
Wow.
amazing. You
That
guys
was
always
awesome.
rock.
Okay, I know we did get a couple last minute questions, but we are at the top of the hour. I personally need to go, and I'm the host of the show, so we're gonna have to cut off the show.
So he's gonna cut us off. He's gonna take his
Yeah.
ball and go home. But thanks everybody. If we didn't get to your question, come back next week. Angela and I are still working on the Duma thing, so look for that. 23 likes. God, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. And
really appreciate
have a
all
great
the support.
weekend. Everybody stay safe.
Stay
Excellent.
safe, stay connected, and we'll be back next week. All right, take care, everyone.
See it.